I would go with the Cardinals in the basement here. I think they're about a 7-win team. I think they're going to be a feisty 7-win team.
Yeah.
Like, I think Kyler Murray's got a lot of talent. On any given Sunday, Kyler Murray can outplay you. We saw that when he came to Pittsburgh. We saw that when he went to Philadelphia, I think a week or two later, right? Like, any given Sunday, Kyler Murray can outplay you. I just worry about the roster around him, young coaching staff, young roster, inexperienced. Can they do that week after week? My answer would probably be no, more weeks than not. So I think that's their main problem is the consistency of it. I think they have a ton of talent. I think Marvin Harrison's going to look really good. I like Michael Wilson, the wide receiver. I like Kyler Murray a ton. I think there's a lot to work with, and I think they are heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if week after week they have the consistent, proven NFL talent to be able to do it at a high level.
And the resiliency, too, right? Because you have to look at Kyler for what he is. Is he special, and can he move better than pretty much anybody in the league? For sure. Like, he has that about him and that elusiveness. But also, what are you going to get with that? He's undersized, so you have to maybe plan for an injury. You don't know how the team's going to respond to injury. It's not a very deep roster either, so I do worry that if a couple pieces go down, things can start to spiral. It's just, I don't know, even if they do get some momentum, I think there's a stretch in that schedule where we have them winning maybe 4 or 5 games in a row, like kind of towards the back half of the schedule.
The Panthers in that. They have like Seattle, which we think they're going to split.
They have a very easy stretch.
Sure.
I don't think that's going to be momentum that they're going to be able to ride through, though.
That's fair. Let's go to number 3 here. I think the Seahawks are a clear-cut 3. I think if there's going to be argument, it's going to be with these two bottom teams. I think Seattle has a lot of the pieces. They have a lot of young guys they're not paying yet, especially in the secondary and on defense.
Yeah.
Of course, you have DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett. 2 of the 3 you're paying. Smith and Jigba you are not, so that's good. 2 young running backs that you're not paying. The offensive line is young. So they kind of have what it takes this year, next year. Like, they're in this little bit of a window with the young guys that are not paying yet, where they can go acquire a big-name quarterback, yet they haven't. It's still Geno Smith. And I think, to me, that's what's holding them back. I think the roster is worthy of more than 9-8, and I don't think Geno's a bad quarterback, but I think to win 10, 11, 12 games, you have to have a guy that's very clearly like a top 12 quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think Geno's very clearly like, 18, 19, 20th, somewhere around there, and I just don't think it's going to be good enough to get them to the playoffs. I think they're going to just miss out at 9-8. Good roster, good first year for Mike McDonald, the new head coach, former DC of the Ravens. A lot of progress to build on. I just think the next step for them is to go big game hunting on a quarterback.
Yeah, I like the roster. Like, overall, I do love the roster, but the season and how they finish is gonna be completely dependent on how Geno Smith plays.
Sure.
Now, if he plays really well, we have them at 9-8. Would it surprise you if Geno has a really good year? He doesn't really do anything wrong. They win 10 games, maybe 11. Maybe they're competing with the Rams if the Rams slip up a little bit.
I don't think it's crazy.
But I think it's solely dependent on Geno Smith's performance this year, is based on how they're going to finish.
Okay, do you think it'd be crazy with a new coach, new scheme, all that, for them to then on the flip side finish with like 7 wins?
No,
and be
I don't.
Fighting with the Cardinals for 3rd.
No, because then that's the other thing. If Geno Smith comes out and absolutely shits all over himself this year, I don't see them doing anything well.
I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 here, the Rams. We're a lot higher on the Rams than most people are. I think the Vegas win total is like 7.5, which I think is wild. It's one of my favorite bets on the board is Rams over. 11-6 feels right to me. Look, big coach quarterback league. We've said this 1,000 times. We've done head coach rankings. We've done quarterback rankings. I think it may have been last year we did a head coach quarterback combo rankings. And McVay and Stafford, I think they're number 2 in the league in our eyes. I think the last time we did it, Reed, Mahomes, and then these guys here at number 2. I think they're going to go into at least 13 or 14 games next year with a coach quarterback advantage.
Yep.
Even if they go, I think they either go to Buffalo or Buffalo comes to them. Either way, is Josh Allen maybe better than Stafford? Yeah, maybe, probably a little bit better at this stage of his career. But if I combine McVay and Stafford or McDermott and Allen, I would take McVay Stafford almost every day.
Yeah, it's really tough to pick against the team that has the better duo when it comes to the coach and the quarterback. The 2 most important spots, arguably.
I would absolutely agree to that. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be a direct reflection. I think that's why the Rams have kind of the connotation around them that when you say their name, you're like, okay, you immediately think Sean McVay, and you immediately think like you're going to get out schemed.
Yep. You think McVay, Stafford. And I think part of the 11-6 is relying on young guys to improve. They had 2 young guys on the defensive front, right? Kobe Turner being one of them. They had guys on the offensive front. They drafted a couple more guys. They have young running backs. So, Puka Nacua, right? Like, we're assuming that their trajectory continues. If not, it wouldn't shock me if they were like a 9-10 win team.
If they took a slight step back.
Sure, but I think if these young guys can play, I think they are firmly in the Super Bowl bubble. That's a hot take.
Super Bowl bubble.
That's a hot take. I think so.
Okay.
I think so because on a 1-game scenario, they should have probably beat the Lions last year.
All right, they sneak into the playoffs. I'll give them that, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Okay.
You have to figure out
11-6 is more than sneaking. That's a 5 spot easily. They'll clinch that early on. But anyway, number 1 here, Niners at 12-5. Look, I know it's not the hottest pick. I know this isn't the most, crazy, outlandish order here for this division, but this is clearly the best roster in football. Period. End of story.
We like to be right. We don't like to go to a ton of clicks on bullshit.
I think the issue is injuries because the first 6 games they only play one playoff team. Well, from last year, but still, that's kind of what we have to go on here. 5 of their first 6 games are against non-playoff teams. That's pretty good. The concern is, can they stay healthy through those first 6? Because the remaining 11 games, 8 of them are against playoff teams from last year. So it's going to get tough down the stretch. And the 3 that they don't play, the 3 non-playoff teams that they play at the last 11 games, Bears, who we know are going to be better. I know you're not a Caleb guy, but they're going to be better.
They're going to be better.
They're going to be better. Seattle and Arizona, who are both in division and feisty teams, like we just said. So 12-5 with the caveat that they have to stay healthy, which I know that's the case for most teams, but this team especially, they're aging and they have a ton of high-end talent, not a ton of depth.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So to run back through, we have the 49ers in first with 12-5. The Rams in second at 11-6. The Seahawks in third at 9-8, and the Cardinals finishing at the bottom of the division at 7-10. But a feisty 7-10 at that. I think we both think Kyler will end up being pretty decent this year, just not consistent enough to get out of the basement there.
I can't lie, that this feels like one of the easier divisions for us to predict.
It is.
I don't know.
We always have to revise this one. That's the thing, though, because we do it so early. We give ourselves 3 revisions at the end of the divisional predictions, and the NFC West is always one of them. But always pretty correct once the season actually shakes out. But let's go superlative. So we have MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Breakout Player, and Coach of the Division. So let's start off with MVP.
I would say Christian McCaffrey, and I don't understand how you couldn't say Christian McCaffrey. I mean, look at their offense when he got there, like 2 years ago, last year, and then obviously, going into this season, he's a beast. Mm-hmm. He's a beast. He's going to be a 300 carry guy. He's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a 25, touch a game type of guy. Fantastic. One of my favorite players to watch in the league.
Yeah, very explosive. Can turn something into nothing, or nothing into something.
Something. I was gonna say, damn. All right, so talk some shit. Something into nothing.
Dang.
Yeah, no, nothing into something.
Yeah, I got what you
meant, though.
I appreciate.
What you meant. Yeah.
Okay, Offensive Player of the Year.
I would go Puka Nacua. I think he's going to take a massive step forward. I think he's fantastic, and I don't think he actually got enough work with Stafford last offseason. Stafford elbow thing going into last season. I think with a whole year under their belt, a whole offseason under their belt where Stafford's healthy, I think it's going to be fantastic. Him and Cooper Kupp are going to be vying for that number 1 spot. Mm-hmm. And I think because of Cooper Kupp, that's why Puka can be that much better. If Cooper Kupp's healthy, he's still going to demand a ton of attention from the defense. And you have Puka Nacua, they're going to be able to run the football. I think he's going to have a massive year. I'm going to predict 1,600 yards.
Oof. How many touchdowns?
I'm going to go 1,500 yards. Sorry, 1,500 yards. Oh, touchdowns. I'm going to go 11.
Okay.
And 106 catches. Pretty good amount.
That's a damn good
season.
Amount.
It is a damn good season. Is I think Cooper Kupp's going to be somewhere close to that too. I think Cooper Kupp's going to have like 1,200 yards, 92 catches, and 8 touchdowns.
Makes the job easy.
I think it's going to be a really good 1-2 punch.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year.
Fred Warner. We were going through the guys. I'm like, like Budda Baker maybe, but not really. He's a safety. We don't value safety a ton.
Plus he's a good safety, but comparatively with other people in the division.
Sure, and like Nick Bosa, maybe he's probably in that same discussion. Yep. But I think Fred Warner is easily the best linebacker in football, and for that reason, he has to be the Defensive Player of the Year for this division.
I like it. Big spot. All right, Breakout Player.
I'm going Michael Wilson. He's 6'2", wide receiver out of Stanford. Plays for the Cardinals. For those who don't know, I think him and Marvin Harrison are going to be a good 1-2 punch. He's a little bit more of a possession guy. He's going to go up and get it. Marvin's going to be a little more of a route runner, tactician. Yards after the catch. I think Michael Wilson will be a good contrast with that. Now, breakout for him, like I don't have his stats pulled up. He wasn't like, 1,000-yard guy. So, like, I'm not saying he's going to be the best wide receiver in football, but compared to his numbers last year, compared to impact on winning last year to this year, I think you're going to see a big difference.
Okay.
Now I'm curious as to his stats last year, real quick. Sorry. I know we have a little bit of time. Yeah, 565 yards. So nothing too crazy. 3 touchdowns. So like I'll say 950 yards, 8 touchdowns. He had 38 catches. I'm going to go 64 catches.
Okay.
So I think he's going to roughly double his output. I think that's really good.
All right. Coach of the division.
Kyle Shanahan. I think he's the best coach.
Do we need much of an explanation there?
Not particularly. I think it's close with McVay, but I think Shanahan is a slightly better coach. Slightly right now.
Well, I mean, he's been to the big dance more recently.
Well, yeah, for sure.
So
to be fair, though, McVay's won it. But no,
that's also fair.
I mean, we're in agreement. I think Shanahan's the guy, but I think it's close.
100%. There's 2 very good coaches in this division. They fight it out twice a year. Give us the treat in the NFC West. So that's good. Run us back through the superlatives.
Christian McCaffrey at MVP. Puka Nacua at Offensive Player of the Year. A little bit of a hot take there, I think. Defensive Player of the Year, Fred Warner. Breakout, Michael Wilson, receiver for the Cardinals. And then Coach of the Year, Kyle Shanahan.
Love it, man. Yeah. That is the NFC West. The first division down, 1 of 8. So definitely good. Feels good to be back and talking 2024-2025 NFL football.